Good afternoon. My name is Alex Leon. I'm the Deputy Commissioner of Design and Construction. So I oversee airport planning and development for aviation for both O'Hare and Midway International airports. We'll get started. O'Hare 21 program has several components. OMP is an existing program that we have that was centered around the airfield modernization, building 6 parallel runways and 2 angled runways. So the OMP stands for O'Hare Modernization. Another component, so that's an existing program. As part of the new lease agreement, we have several other components that were funded, and that, O'Hare 21 is the parent of all of these components. CIP, that's our capital improvement program. So we have projects under this lease agreement that were funded that are pre-approved under that lease agreement. The hotels, there's 3 hotels, 1 renovation, 2 new hotels. Those are not funded as part of the lease agreement. And once those go through planning and development, we'll seek to fund those. There's also the Terminal 5 improvements. As you see in the slides, you'll see several components of those. That's about a $1 billion investment in that campus. We're going to add gates, parking garage, a hotel there, and also road and landside improvements. And then finally, the last component is the terminal area plan. And that plan is the major component of the lease agreement. That's the approximately $6.1 billion program, and that's going to fund new gates and redevelopment of Terminal 2, which will be our O'Hare Global Terminal and Concourse. So I'll go through the details of a lot of the upcoming procurements that we have that will support the O'Hare 21. This slide depicts That slide depicts the real estate available for the major component of this that was funded through the lease agreement. So that nets us over 400 acres available for the gate expansion. In the yellow, that area highlighted by 100 acres, that runway has been decommissioned. So right now it's serving the purpose of a taxiway. Flows for the between the north and south airfield, but eventually we'll tear that pavement out, and that'll allow us to build westward. These are terminal conceptual renderings, going from right to left. The first image is the O'Hare Global Terminal and the O'Hare Global Concourse. That's going to have international capacity, and it'll also serve as domestic capacity. So we'll have one big expanded checkpoint and our new customs hall, or our CBP facility there. And then as we move west, Satellite Concourse 1, which you see there in the middle, will tie into the C Concourse, and that'll also have both international and domestic capacity. We'll have a sterile core in the underground tunnel that'll connect to the CBP in the O'Hare Global Terminal. And then over to the left, you see Satellite Concourse 2. That's going to be primarily, or it'll be regional domestic gates for smaller type aircraft. Currently, we have a procurement out on the street, and that's for the lead designer. It was advertised in the second quarter. We anticipate an award in second quarter of 2019. The intent with this procurement is to select up to 2 designers that will design both, or actually all 3 of the concourses. And so again, some of the features would be MARSing capability, for both international and domestic operations. And this procurement will also have the opportunity for the engineering component, as it includes some ramp space next to the facilities as well. Another procurement that we anticipate going out within the next month or so is the lead civil engineer, and this is to build the tunnel and the utilidors. The civil designer will assist the architect, so they'll feed information between the two as they build, as we start building the terminals and the satellite concourses westward. We anticipate an award date of first quarter of 2019. Anticipated duration is 8 years, similar to the lead engineer that's out in the street. This procurement will provide information related to the baggage handling system and the components that interface between the terminals and the pavement. One thing to note on both of these is both the lead engineer and the lead architect. Those are both M&W, so they will not be DBE components. Next one is the target market for CM services, construction management. We anticipate to advertise this third quarter of 2018. This is a new procurement we had a procurement for construction management services at O'Hare years ago, so we're bringing this one back up. And in particular, this one will be for the target market group. So this will be anywhere from 4 to 5 pools, selected firms, and we anticipate an award date of second quarter of 2019. The term is 5 years for this procurement.
Or are you saving questions for last?
For last, please.
Okay.
This one was advertised in second quarter of last year. It's a target market for design services, task orders. Again, this is similar to our current task order pool, 4 to 5 recipients or 4 to 5 contracts. And this group will assist in enabling projects to the TAP and the smaller CIP components that were funded, the projects that were funded as part of the lease agreement. And the variety of the projects include airside, landside work, some terminal renovation. Obviously, we're not, the lead engineer will work with Terminal 2, so there's projects that are slated for Terminal 1 and Terminal 3. Smaller components, so this task order pool will be able to work or bid on those type of projects. Again, this just highlights the procurement that was advertised in the second quarter of 2017. So there will also be the regular categories that we currently have: federal, non-federal, both in architecture and engineering. Similar to the last slide, the firms selected for this procurement will be tasked with enabling projects, CIP projects. And again, they include airside, landside projects, terminal projects, facility type projects, and enabling site prep projects for the TAP. This is an overview of the various Terminal 5 components that have been funded as part of the lease agreement. Starting from the right, the concourse expansion. We're building 9 new gates. We're netting 8. We have to tear down one gate to facilitate the connection there. So 9 new gates. As we move over, there's going to be some roadside work. Terminal parking garage will be covered. that is, that's something as we shift this facility from an international to a domestic to dual capacity. That requires covered parking spaces for the passengers. And then moving over to the left, you see the T5, the new T5 hotel. Obviously, that's an amenity for our passengers as well there too, as we shift this facility into both national and international. And again, we highlight some of the curb and roadside work needed in order to facilitate that shift into domestic use. And then there's some core bump outs that you see there in that in the lighter white color to the left that will serve as additional concession space required as we expand the facility. This is a procurement that was advertised second quarter of last year. We have progressed through negotiations. There's actually we've narrowed it down to 3 respondents, with the ability to go back to the other 2 if we don't reach an agreement. That procurement is currently on hold, but one of the projects that this pool will be tasked with would be the Terminal 5 extension, and then the other firms will be given an opportunity for the TAP and other O'Hare 21 pack components projects. This slide highlights the expansion of Terminal 5, the objectives. So as I mentioned earlier, 9 new wide-body gates. Currently, we have 1 A380 capable gate. We're going to add a second A380 capable gate, and then it'll address some of the needs of that facility in terms of the FIS, and then we'll add additional regional domestic type gates in one of the wings of the facility, and then it includes a renovation of the existing FIS, as that is our only Customs and Border Protection facility until we build the O'Hare Global Terminal. O'Hare Terminal 5 extension, the site civil prep. This is an enabling project to the actual building extension. So this one's ready for advertisement. You should see this soon. The intent here is to replace 4 hard stand positions actually in this rendering it shows it to the north, but it's been rephased, so they're actually to the east. This is a DBE as we're seeking federal funding through the FAA. The estimated contract value is 70 to 80 million, and some of the trades that you see here: electricians, laborers, operators, and cement masons. It's primarily a civil type project. Earlier, I talked about the O'Hare modernization program. There's still several components of that program that need to be built, primarily the runway, 9 center runway. And as part of the new lease agreement, we've secured funding for the 9 right extension, which is the final component of the O'Hare modernization program. This shows the different packages. The East package will reach, going from right to left, the East package will reach substantial completion pretty soon. Package 1 in the green, that's under construction, and the package 2 has been given NTP recently, so that's under construction as well. The final component will be package 3, and then the yellow at the bottom of the legend, that's also under construction, and that's additional employee parking that needs to be replaced as part of the runway package 2. This project has already been advertised. It's the runway 9 right, 27 left RWSLs. This is a DBE project. 2.5 to 3 million is our estimate. Majority of the components obviously are electrical. There's some operator, Teamsters, and labor work as well too. I mentioned Runway 9 Center Package 3. We expect that to be advertised later on this year, fourth quarter of 2018. The estimated contract value is 80 to 90 million. Because we secured grant funding, this is a DBE project. And you see the same list of trades: electricians, laborers, operators, and cement masons. This next project, the Central Basin Reconfiguration, we anticipate advertisement first quarter of 2019. The estimated value is 100 to 120 million. This project will be bid via design build. So this is an enabling project to the Alpha Bravo. On the image, the orange below is our Alpha Bravo bridge that is currently in design and will be relocated, the portion. Again, the same type of trades: electricians, Teamsters, laborers, operators. This is an M&W. This was funded through the lease agreement. The relocation of Alpha Bravo, this was the previous project is the enabling project to the relocation of taxiways Alpha Bravo. This is the project that cleans up some of the irregular geometry in our airfield, and it also allows us to expand westward with our terminals. We anticipate an advertisement of fourth quarter of 2018. The estimated contract value is 80 to 100 million. It's also M&W, and again, we have the same type of trades: civil type trades, electricians, laborers, operators. This next project is the ATS Light B Station demolition. As part of the runway commissioning, this project, or the station itself, is right over the runway protection zone. So the requirements with the FAA is no public gathering. This was funded under the 9th Center agreement, so that's a DBE participation. 10 to 20 million is the estimate. Slightly different group of trades here: electricians, operators, laborers, and iron workers. For our Midway capital improvement program, we have the terminal ramp improvements. We anticipate to advertise this third quarter of 2018. This should be advertised soon. 11 to 12 million. We secured grant funding, so it's a DBE project. Civil, again, the same trades we see with civil, which are Teamsters, laborers, cement finishers, carpenters, and operators. For our residential sound insulation program, we have a project to highlight, and this is at O'Hare, Phase 17 historical homes. We anticipate an ad date of fourth quarter of 2018. As with most of our residential insulation programs, we secure federal funding, so this is a DBE. The estimated value is 10 to 15. Because this project deals more with building trades, you have a slightly different mix of trades. Moving on to the capital improvement program at O'Hare. We have the Ringen Utility Tunnel concrete repairs. This is a second phase. First phase was bid. It's under construction. So we anticipate this will be advertised in the third quarter 2018. Estimated contract value is 8 to 10, and it is M&W project. Slightly different trades here: electrical work, plumbing work, as it deals with our utilities in our tunnel, in our core area. The next project is the replacement of Rotunda air handling units. This is a project that was pre-approved. It was funded under the old lease agreement, but nonetheless highlights our need to invest in terminals, 1 and 3 as well. So this will be advertised third quarter of 2018. The estimated contract value is 15 to 20 million. It's M&W and a slightly different mix of trades here, as it deals with air handling units. So you see the sheet metal workers, electrician, plumbers, and laborers. Next project is the RECIRC Bridge reconstruction. Currently, this bridge is in repair. As part of our inspection last year, it was found to be in need of repair. So this one will address those issues. The anticipated add date is third, possibly fourth quarter of 2018. The estimated contract value is 3 to 4, and it's also M&W. Pedestrian tunnel repairs. This was funded under the old lease agreement. This will address some of the leakage that you see throughout our PED tunnels at the airport. So the anticipated add date is fourth quarter of 2018, 25 to 30 million. It has an M&W component to it. And again, you see more building type trades here. Plumbers, laborers, iron workers, carpenters, and painters. Bag alley retaining wall repair. This project is anticipated. I believe it was bid out maybe about a year ago, but it was repackaged as we intend to do work near Terminal 2. So this project addresses the immediate concerns with the retaining wall. Anticipated add date is fourth quarter, 2018, and the estimated contract value is 2 to 3 million, and it has an M&W component. It has primarily civil type trades, operators, laborers. The next project is the I-190 lift station replacement. This project addresses some of the flooding issues that we've had in the past when we have the 100-year flood every so many months. So this will address the issues that we have experienced in the past. So anticipated add date first quarter of 2019. Estimated contract value 3 to 4 million. And it has an M&W component, slightly different mix. There's some plumber, carpenters, and electricians. Next, we're going to highlight the O&M term contracts. So these are contracts that we primarily use to address immediate issues that come about that impact operations at the airport. So this is AIRSIDE ramp replacement term contract. The anticipated add date is third quarter of 2018. The estimated contract value is 90 to 100, and obviously the goals fluctuate because it's a term contract. So some of the trades, operators, teamsters, laborers, cement masons, There is electrical components as you deal with some of the lighting, in-ground lighting near the ramps, and also carpenters. The next one is the AIRSIDE concrete term contract. The anticipated add date is fourth quarter of 2018. Estimated contract value is 5 to 10 million. Again, the DBEs, because it's a term contract, they fluctuate. Civil type work, so it's operators, teamsters, cement masons. The next project is the asphalt patching term contract. It's a 5-year term, and it addresses areas on an as-needed basis again, and work for this contract is emergency type, so it's both during the day and nighttime work. Anticipated add date fourth quarter of 2018. Contract values over 200, and the goals, again, TBD, will be determined later. Another term contract is the pavement joint sealing, and so this addresses seals on our airfield, also pet tunnels and other tunnels throughout the airport. Advertised date fourth quarter of 2018. The estimated contract value is 5 to 10, and then the goals are to be determined. The next one is rubble removal, and this is a 5-year contract, and this addresses the rubble as the airplanes land on the runway. There's rubber that's left on the pavement, and so this contract addresses those issues in terms of removal in order to stay compliant with FAA guidelines. This is advertised fourth quarter of 2018. The estimated contract value is 2 to 3, and then the goals are TBD. So that concludes the presentation, and I'll open it up to questions.
You gave us a lot of information, useful information. Oh.
Pass it around. Thank you.
Yes, Leon, you gave us a lot of useful information, and I was attempting to take notes, so kind of bear with me, please. You were talking about some target market contracts, opportunities, if you will. Have it already been determined? Do you have any of those type contracts that's available now as opportunities that one could, bid or at least prepare to bid on those?
On the design side, on the professional side, we have a procurement that was advertised 2017. I highlighted that. I'll scroll back.
While you're going back, I want to focus on the construction side of it, if you will.
Okay.
So those are the opportunities.
This is target market construction management service, so this is on the professional service side. We'll select 4 to 5 respondents, and they'll get to bid on projects that are not related or enabling projects to the TAP and projects that were funded under the CIP category, the capital improvement category. So those projects range for anywhere from a couple million to about 30 to 40 million. So that's the estimated construction value. But this group is for construction management to oversee the construction portion of it. And then we also have target market design. That procurement has already been advertised. We have SOQs in, but those contracts have not been awarded. For both of those, we anticipate awarding 4 to 5 in each category, so we'll have 2. We'll have one that will be for construction management services, and another one for design services, engineering, non-federal. So it'll be M&W type projects.
Okay, now for instance, the construction side of it, is it based on specialty areas, or would a target market vendor, if you will, and I'm assuming that's a small minority or DBE contractor, would they bid as the construction manager of that, or would they bid under the particular areas?
Well,
like engineering,
so, yeah.
not engineering, but...
So these two contracts are for the professional services. They're for designers and construction managers. Now, for the actual construction, we are identifying projects that were funded under the lease agreement that we know of today. We're right-sizing them for SBE, SBI, MBI, and what's the other category? Again, that's obviously procurement knows, that's their area of expertise. But what we're doing is identifying the different construction type projects that will fit those categories.
Okay. And then that will be identified as such if I want to bid on something. For instance, if it's plumbing. If you have plumbing in this particular area, then I could bid specifically on that as a target market contract.
Well, there's different categories. Target market doesn't apply there, but that's more procurement. Department of Procurement classifies as from the different. When it comes to construction, they're classified differently. But yes, the intent there is geared towards either race or gender neutral, whatever different categories DPS classifies.
Okay.
We haven't identified those projects yet, but we do. We have not. Under the new lease agreement, we have 90 or so projects that are pre-funded for the next 15 years, and that's the exercise that we're going through right now, is to identify how we're going to slot those projects.
Okay, and once it's determined, then I suppose what will they be online, or how will I find out about when it's available?
DPS has a buying plan. And so that buying plan, I believe it's at...
It's out. It's out. It's
Yeah.
downstairs in the bid and bond room. We have them on the 8th floor.
The bid and bond room's on the 8th floor?
No, it's on the 1st floor.
I saw it when I came in. Okay, so if I want to get that buying plan, I can stop there and pick it up?
Correct.
Okay.
Or you can go online if you prefer to do that.
And,
Okay.
and one thing to highlight is that on that buying plan, you'll see projects that were previously funded under the old lease agreement. For the new lease agreement, this bigger bucket of projects, that information has not found its way into that plan. So for the next one, we will identify those projects.
Okay. I guess my next question is, I'm not as familiar with the process of the bidding and all of that. Is there a department, and I guess it would be DPS or aviation, who could share information with me, not necessarily in a workshop, if I want in my office and I think of some stuff, how can I reach out to gain additional information?
Well, I would suggest they first come to the workshop.
There's another workshop.
Yeah, there's workshops for the bidding process. E-procurement is automated bidding process.
And it's
the
across
class
the
that
board.
was right before this
Okay,
one.
it's across the board for aviation as well as.
And then once you come to the class, those instructors will give you additional ways that you can get information about the process.
Okay, so you were telling me, for the most part, because I like to be somewhat intimate to ask questions, I can't.
You can't have your one-on-one person.
Okay, that's not what I'm saying. Okay, that's not available.
We would love to do that for everybody, but
Okay.
unfortunately that can't happen.
Okay.
But if you have a question, it is, and you submit it, it will be answered. It is just that we can't have a person just sit with you,
Okay. Okay.
for that process. But feel free to come to the class and they'll spend, the hour talking about it, and then the last 15 minutes of that hour, they do question and answers, and then sometimes they go a little bit beyond the hour.
And what is the next?
For I get, each person I ask that you pick up a schedule is in here.
Oh, it is in there, okay.
Mhm.
All right, perfect.
My last question, and you guys can take it over. You did say that they are putting another hotel out at the airport.
Correct.
So will DPS be responsible for advertising for those opportunities as well, or is that going to be handled solely by the hotel?
Because they were not funded under the current lease agreement, those procurement types have not been identified yet. There is the possibility that they will be advertised through procurement, but there's also the possibility that it'll be some type of concession.
Right.
Yeah.
And all of your contracts, you require some level of participation by certified minorities, DBs, on and on and on.
In the airport, regardless of who undertakes the implementation of a project, whether it's CDA, aviation through the Department of Procurement Service, or whether it's a reimbursement agreement or some other type, there's always clauses in the agreements whereby they have to follow City of Chicago procurement standards.
Piggyback on that question, do they have
Hold on
to
one
be
second.
union?
Hold on one second. Got to use this because we're live streaming.
To piggyback on her last question, do those firms have to be union firms?
So there is a PLA agreement, and I'm more familiar on the construction side. So we do have a PLA that we have to adhere to, and there has to be some sort of like prevailing wage or something that follows our contract. So once it strays beyond the construction to other types of procurements, I'm not sure. There's different requirements there. But for sure would be prevailing wage. But at least for projects that I manage directly through design and construction, we have to adhere to the PLA.
But does PLA mean...
That's a project labor agreement.
Right, I understand that, but does that mean you have to be an active Teamsters?
Yes.
Or just pay prevailing wages?
My understanding is that you have to.
Okay.
And that PLA applies to the city, right? So it applies to both of our airports. It's not tied to just our airports.
Okay, and then my last question on some of the opportunities that are coming up and under the trade or location, AIRSIDE, et cetera, it says, with some it says Teamsters. Others, it doesn't say Teamsters.
That's just a general, idea on the scope. There could be additional trades in each of these procurements, but we've tried to identify the major components of the trades that would participate in that procurement.
Anyone else with a question? All right. I guess this concludes our session for today. If you could take a few minutes and fill out the evaluation, we would greatly appreciate it. We kind of want to know questions that you would like us to offer in upcoming presentations and such. So,
Yeah,
Thank you.
kind enough to just identify yourself, please, because you are part of DPS or aviation.
I'm part of DPS. My name is Jackie Umbles. I am the information coordinator. I did that little spiel in the beginning.
I know, but if you said your name,
Oh, okay.
That's all.
I thought you thought I was a popcorn girl for real.
Thank you.
What did you say, Jackie? What?
Umbles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you want a buying guide, if you go
I'm
down
gonna
to
do
the
that.
8th floor with me,
Thank you.
I can run in the 8th floor and get you one, or you can go all the way down. And Bid and Bond will probably be closed by the time you get there.
Would you get me one,
Yeah,
please?
so if you follow me to the 8th floor.
I will do that, even though I wanted to talk
Will
to
you get
Alex
two,
first.
please?